It's exactly 8 p.m. here in the nation's economic capital, Douala. Hello and thanks for joining me in this edition of the Primetime Newscast on Canal de English. We begin with the top stories tonight. The Anglophone crisis has dealt a bitter blow on Cameroon's economy. Information from the cartel of businessmen GICAM, as they met in Douala today, indicates Cameroon is losing billions because of the Anglophone crisis. Celestin Tawamba, president of GICAM, speaking at the 125th ordinary session, said these and other issues such as the falling oil prices put Cameroon's economy in a bad spot. Plus, a court has reduced the sentence of RFI journalist Ahmed Abba from 10 to 2 years. Given he has already spent more than 2 years in prison, he is expected to regain his freedom. And have you ever wondered who is Father Christmas? Well, as the countdown to Christmas narrows down, we'll tell you the history and significance of Father Christmas and why kids love him, bearing gifts for them. Those were the major stories. Their developments and more just right ahead. Now, Cameroon's military court has reduced the prison sentence of RFI journalist Ahmed Abba from 10 to 2 years. Abba was accused of terror-related charges in connection with his coverage of the Boko Haram Islamist group. The Yaoundé Appeal Court this Thursday acquitted Abba but upheld ruling for his failure to denounce terrorism in connection with his coverage of attacks launched by Boko Haram. Given Abba already spent 29 months behind bars since he was arrested in Marwa in July 2015, Ahmed Abba is suspected will be released immediately after this court ruling. His arrest sparked international condemnation from Journalism and Human Rights Association, including the Committee to Protect Journalists, CPJ, who even gave him an award while he was in detention. Now, Nigeria is one of Cameroon's biggest trade partners, but with the Anglophone crisis, especially with the closure of the borders, trade between the two countries slowed down tremendously. Now, speaking at the 125th ordinary session, the president of the cartel of business, GICAM, that's Celestin Tawamba, said the Anglophone crisis, coupled with other economic challenges, puts Cameroon's economy in a bad spot. Kejang Henry Atembe.
Cameroon's economy is in a bad shape, and if nothing is done to salvage the situation, 2018 might be a catastrophic year for the country. This revelation was made by the president of the Cameroon's Businessmen Association, Celestin Tawamba, while presenting his 2017 economic policy and moral address on December 21. This was during the 125th Ordinary General Assembly of GICAM. The Ordinary Assembly coincides with the 60th anniversary of the Cartel of Businessmen. Mr. Tawamba was bitter as he painted the gloomy business climate of the country. Cameroon's economy is on a crossroad, Tawamba remarked, caused by a number of vectors, amongst them a sharp drop in commodity prices, with crude oil dropping down to 40%. Security concerns in the northwest and southwest regions of the country, that of the north and the east, which have grievously affected the economy, and above all, physical pressure exerted on businessmen. Bad governance is another major factor that is pulling Cameroon's economy to the slum. With the Anglophone crisis still protracting, business between Cameroon and Nigeria has been paralyzed. Celestin Tawamba remarked, Nigeria being Cameroon's major trading partner. Reminding his business colleagues, Celestin Tawamba said it is time for all to react and react very quickly by adapting to new and current economic trends.
Now, farmers in the littoral region have decried the lack of machines to transform their local produce into finished goods. They say the weakness on the part of the government rather exposes them to stiff competition from foreign products, which today flood the market. They made their grievances known today during the opening of the Littoral Agri Show. As you tell us, Ndimore.
Packaging these cassava peas in leaves, commonly called Miondo, in the local parlance, is what these women from Dibombare are doing to attract customers at this agric showground at Kamtelbe Panda in Douala, Cameroon. I prefer to do the packaging on the spot. We want to show our visitors how Miondo is processed. We want to stop all myth or doubts and tell them to go in for quality products. This woman has successfully transformed soya beans into beef, ready for consumption.
Ça se présente sous forme de brochette.
It's nutritive. This is beef made out of soya beans. You can have it in your soup or any other meal you're preparing.
On lance parce que c'est une viande déjà faite.
These are among the thousands of products exhibited at the 17th edition of the Littoral Agric Fair. This is seen as a solution to high cost of living, which generally comes with end-of-year festivities.
The Agric Show it has a vital importance to the society as a whole. It is there the place where producers and consumers meet to exchange a product, to exchange your quality, to exchange your experience. It is a stage where both have to express.
The farmers decried absence of machines to transform their goods into finished products. They equally stress on the fact that the shortcomings on the part of government rather exposes them to stiff competition from European products, which continue to flood markets. The Secretary General of the Littoral Governor's Office, who stood as a representative of the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, congratulated the farmers for alleviating poverty and high cost of living. While handing over the prizes, he enjoined farmers to be more competitive, productive in order to ensure food security in the region and the nation at large.
Now, Cameroon is expected to host the 2019 African Cup of Nations as the country braces up to host this major sports jamboree. Members of the commerce, or rather of the tourism and leisure sector, have met in Douala to seek ways to ameliorate the sector. Thomas Mokum was there and now reports.
As Cameroon prepares to host the 2019 African Cup of Nations that will take place in some 5 towns, that is Yaoundé, Douala, Limbe, Bafoussam, Garoua, there are preparations going on at every level. The tournament is an opportunity for tourists and other visitors to know more about the country. In a meeting at the Sawa Hotel bringing together operators of the tourism and leisure sector and the president of the Chambers of Commerce to look at problems faced by the sector and propose solutions. But what are the problems faced by the tourism and leisure sector in Cameroon?
And today we decided to focus our theme on tourism and in a subsection dealing with hotels. And today we did invite the Secretary General of the Ministry of Tourism to give a presentation on what the government is doing in terms of the hotel sector. And we believe at the level of the Chamber of Commerce that the hotel sector is a very key area in the preparation of Cannes 2019, in the sense that we'll be receiving not just those who are participating in Cannes.
Tourists and visitors can come back to your country as many times as possible and even encourage others if they have good treatment in the hotels and eat good food. So what can be done to have better hotel services in the country?
Cameroon is really well placed to do exactly that. We have so much to show, not just we're so blessed by God. For if you look at the mountains, the rivers, the beauty, and each region in Cameroon has something so beautiful to show. And this is what we are pushing to say, why don't we show what God is giving us? Why don't we bring out the beauty of Cameroon and use it as a way of attracting tourism into Cameroon, but also make sure we have the hotel capacity to host those who visit, in a way where they would not only come once, but they'll go back and tell others to come again over and over again.
It's hoped that tourists and visitors will have better services during the 2019 African Cup of Nations in Cameroon.
Now, the Douala Central Market is receiving its highest number of visitors during this end-of-year period. Now, persons and automobiles can hardly make their way through the market. But despite this affluence, our reporter Indira Ayok tells us that businessmen in that market still complain of a low cash inflows. Now, authorities of the market have now derived ways of improving on the security of visitors amongst the chaos, her report.
It is an overcrowded Douala Central Market that meets the eye. Traders, buyers and passers-by rub shoulders and even step on toes in a frantic attempt to buy whatever they can for the festive season. While persons scramble for space, automobiles find it even more difficult as they try to avoid knocking down busy traders. Despite the fact that the market seems flooded with goods, vendors say things are very tough. You know, most businesses during this period are seasonal, so we have to fight hard to sell all Christmas items by the 24th of December. If one is lucky, he can sell everything. Things were a lot better last year. Business is really not moving this year. I think the situation in the English-speaking regions is the cause. Despite the congestion you see in the market, people are not buying. Buyers on their part are complaining bitterly about the quality of goods sold. They say the goods do not merit the prices attached to them. Things are very costly this year, and there is no variety. We see the same items all over the place. We are forced to buy. We don't have much of a choice. Amidst the shouting of traders inviting potential buyers, automobiles are honking their way through the crowded streets, deafening even those hired by authorities of the Douala Central Market to ensure the safety and security of people. We hired some young men to ensure security in the market. For some time now, traders have stopped complaining about armed robbery. The overcrowdedness of the market may be a problem to buyers, but for the vendors it is a good thing as they hope to sell out all their stock for the festive season.
And well, it's almost Christmas, and yes, almost everyone is feeling the excitement. But has Father Christmas visited your home already? Well, in the following report, we tell you about the significance of Father Christmas and why children love him bearing them gifts. Let's take a listen.
The belief in the existence of Father Christmas is a feeling that ignites joy. For parents, it is important talking about Father Christmas to kids in order to preserve the tradition. I talk about Father Christmas to my kids to give them hope. When you tell kids that Father Christmas is coming, they organize themselves and are disciplined, be it at home or in their day-to-day behavior. Yes, I think it is important to talk about Father Christmas. I think it is important to make children dream. It gives them something to look up to whenever it's end of year. The myth about the existence of Father Christmas is something that is cultivated, and parents have a technique in doing so. As a tradition, what I do is I buy gifts for my children, I keep it and later put on a Christmas tree. When the children get up in the morning, they see their gifts and so they will say, Father Christmas was here and he left gifts. I wake up at about 2 a.m. in the night when I know the kids are sleeping, and I tie their gifts which I hid on the Christmas tree and let them discover in the morning, and when they get their gifts they will exclaim, "Ah, so Father Christmas was here." You see, that's what makes the experience exciting. Promise, compensation, reward is also part of the technique used by parents to get their kids to see Father Christmas. Back then, I used to tell my kids that the person who is obedient, who does house chores and passes well in school will get a gift from Father Christmas. And if you don't work well, Father Christmas will not think of you.
Et si tu ne travailles pas bien, le Père Noël ne pense pas à toi.
We prepare foodstuffs and share gifts with them and make them know that we are enjoying because of the largesse of Father Christmas.
C'est grâce au Père Noël que nous sommes présents, c'est grâce au Père Noël que nous mangeons
For kids, associating and receiving gifts from Father Christmas remain a magical experience, a feeling each kid hopes to enjoy when it's Christmas.
On se dit à très très bientôt. Ho, 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 ho. Joyeux Noël!
Well, end of year feast is also an affair for nightclubs and snack bars. Now, a few days to Christmas, business owner or rather nightclub owners here in the city of Douala have begun major renovation works in order to attract more customers. Crystal Katala reports.
Some snacks and nightclubs in Douala are already getting ready for end-of-year feast. Few days to Christmas, major renovations are on the way.
Depuis au moins 3 mois, nous sommes en plein travail pour que les clients de fin d'année.
We have carried out major renovations since 3 months ago. We are doing our best so that our customers will celebrate in a comfortable environment with a lot of ambience. We have renovated in all the departments, like in the toilet, at the level of the sound quality with the DJ.
Au niveau de la platine des DJ, c'est du dernier cri. Au niveau de la climatisation, tout a été refait à neuf.
In the snack, the workers are redoing the painting, checking the lighting system and the sound quality to the satisfaction of their customers. Here, the manager of this nightclub is giving instructions to his employees and the night watch. He says 90% of renovations have been carried out.
C'est la période à laquelle
We have renovated the house with new clothing, as you can see. Inside the club, 90% of renovation works have been carried out. We have changed all the accessories. Though many still await the D-Day, for others, the feast has started already.
We leave Christmas and other end-of-year festivities to talk about something totally different, politics. Now, as the 2018 presidential municipal election draws near, the United Nations Women is doing more to encourage more women to get into politics. In a workshop that group participants from the 10 different regions of the country, women were encouraged to be more involved in the political affairs of their nation. Tabby Clarkson reports.
The United Nations Entity for Gender Equality and the Empowerment of Women, UN Women, is organizing a 2-day workshop on the theme Women's Political Participation and Leadership in Cameroon between 2017 and 2020. For 2 days, participants at the workshop, drawn from all the 10 regions of the country, will be mapping out strategies on how to bring more women into politics. In Bamenda, in the northwest region of Cameroon, efforts are being made to bring women into politics.
We are going to come up with a national plan of action for the participation of women in politics with the help of UN Women. And we will try as much as possible to implement this plan of action at the level of our region to ensure that by next year, many more women will be able to participate in the political life.
Statistics say 31% of women make up the National Assembly, and the objective of UN Women is to see many more women come to Parliament and be in other positions of political leadership.
I believe they are, because not only the project, because if you look at every scope of life, women are participating actively on a daily basis. The reality is, how do we make sure that their participation is not left to the local level and that they become more represented in the political participation, the decision making, because it's very important for them not to be only in the market but also be in the parliament, and the parliament being the highest house. As I said, this is not an issue specific to Cameroon. All the countries have the same challenges. The figures in Cameroon are quite interesting in the sense that we have at least 31% in the National Assembly, 20% in the Senate. But when you come to the local level, the statistics are very low, whereby the global objective is making sure that 2030 we have 50-50. So if we have to have 50-50 by 2030, it means we need to sustain the result, increase them, and make robust strategies to make sure that we are going to meet the challenges. And this is exactly what we expect. So women are committed as you commit them. they are decided. It's up to us as development partner, how do we support that dynamics? So it's not a question whether we're interested or not, it's a question of how far are we ready as partners to support them and accompany them in that endeavor.
The workshop that ends this Friday is also having in attendance the presence of some women MPs.
Now, the Circle of Friends of Cameroon, known in French as CIRAC, has touched about 35,000 Cameroonians with its humanitarian activities for the year 2017. What information was made known on Wednesday during the General Assembly of the Humanitarian Association, presided over by First Lady Chantal Biya. Well, the event also led to, or rather the event was equally an opportunity to showcase Cameroon's cultural diversity, as we hear in the following report with Beatrice Ngamo.
22 years of the Circle of Friends of Cameroon, CIRAC, and successful feedbacks. Enough reason to thank the brain behind all this, Cameroon's First Lady, Executive and Founding President of CIRAC, Mrs. Chantal Biya, welcomed here in a very special way. CIRAC ladies celebrating love, peace and solidarity. They continued with the orchestra playing touching love song. Artists then took turns. First, Misengo Francois. Then Daphne with her Kale Kale. Kale, the lady says they are to CIRAC. Afua come like Ama Piero also moved the ladies to their feet. CIRAC ladies knows how to make the population feel love, warmth and protection. They know their worth also. In the styles, colors and tunes of the different regions of the country, they file past in group of fashion parades. The northern regions representing the Adamawa, the far north and the north. The Grand South, Center, East and South regions. The Grassfield, Northwest, Southwest regions. And the Sawa, Southwest and Littoral regions. Unity in diversity, the image of Cameroon they portray. This cultural face of CIRAC's General Assembly was crowned with the cutting of the anniversary cake, birthday cake to Cameroon's First Lady, founding president of this humanitarian association, the Circle of Friends of Cameroon, CIRAC.
Talk of colors of Cameroon. Now we'll take you to Fumbold, where authorities in that part of the country have condemned criminality, witchcraft and illiteracy and have described this as impediment to development. During a contact tour to the subdivision, the divisional officer counseled the population about the importance of living together. Gladys Ambodzibang.
The divisional officer for Fumbold in the Noon Division in the West Region of Cameroon has decried the high rates of criminality in the area, witchcraft, illiteracy, and warned the population against excessive intake of alcohol and drugs, which he sees hampered development in the subdivision. He has equally condemned youths who drop out of school and jeopardize their future. The divisional officer talked to the population at every stop he made in Guetvu, Mo, and Mangrove localities during a Meet the People's tour in the Fumbold subdivision. He advised the people to learn to live together and recommended that multiculturalism, solidarity, and patriotism should be their watchwords. During the meetings, traditional authorities presented problems faced by the population and included, amongst others, lack of water, bad roads and agro-pastoral conflicts. The divisional officer for Fumbold has promised to channel their problems to hierarchy.
Now, following financial difficulties in coping with the management of the Kribi deep sea port, Necotrans sold its shares to L Logistics. This multinational logistic company will now work with KPMO to manage the Kribi deep sea port. The shareholders made the declaration yesterday, as you tell us, Kejang Henry Atembe.
Multinational maritime logistic company Arrow Logistic has concluded its deal with Necotrans over the management of the Kribi deep sea port. Following financial difficulties in handling Kribi terminal, Necotrans sold its shares to Arrow Logistic, a global weight in maritime logistics. Meeting in Douala on December 20th, the shareholders officially announced to the public their new vision and partnership geared towards the management of the Kribi port terminal. Arrow Logistics will now work with KPMO at the multi-purpose Kribi port on a 50 to 50% shareholding basis following the liquidation of Necotrans. Arrow Logistics has announced it has all it takes to flag off activities at the multi-purpose terminal in the deep sea port in Kribi.
We'll now take you out of the country, where Uganda's parliament has approved a constitutional change that will allow the current president to run for an unprecedented sixth term in office. After 3 days of debate, MPs voted overwhelmingly to remove the age limit of 75 for presidential candidates. It means 73-year-old President Yoweri Museveni, who has ruled the country for more than 30 years, can seek re-election when it will be 2021. A two-term limit was scrapped off in 2005 that allowed Mr. Museveni to stand for a third term. And well, ladies and gentlemen, that story from Uganda brings us to the end of this newscast on Canada English. Thanks for watching. But as always, we invite you to stay tuned for more interesting programs on Canada English. Goodbye and God bless.